What happens when you remove the one thing that makes us human, our ability to question? I'm talking about Severance. If you haven't watched it yet, in that case, please do. Severance takes place in a dystopian world where employees at Lumon Corporation undergo a procedure called severance. Basically, they have their memories split so that their work life and personal life are completely separate. The employees on the severed floor have no memory of their outie selves, and they're essentially just told what to do. In this video, we're diving into how critical thinking is both suppressed and ignited in this world. Whether you're a fan of the show or new to this concept, we'll explore how Severance can help us think about our own ability to question, and why learning to ask better questions could be the first step to changing everything. So why do you think critical thinking is so low on the severed floor in Severance? Why do people just accept their roles without ever questioning them? The key here is in the severance itself. Employees like Mark and his colleagues have no access to their personal lives and no memories of their outie selves. They are just told what to do and have zero framework to challenge it. With no context, no memories, no connection to their own values and thoughts, it's no wonder critical thinking is suppressed. Imagine living in an environment where your very ability to reason is taken away. No past, no personal connections, just tasks to perform. Critical thinking isn't just low, it's almost impossible. And then something happens to break this. Helly arrives. She's different, she doesn't fit the mold. From the moment she walks in, Helly doesn't settle. She's asked to sign away her freedom, but instead of just doing it, she resists. She insists on knowing what it means over and over. What's this? Why am I here? She doesn't take things at face value. It's uncomfortable for everyone, but also very powerful. And in a world where questioning is discouraged, that alone is revolutionary. Helly is the first to break the cycle, and others begin to follow. When someone starts questioning the rules, things always change for everyone. Whether they fight it or follow it, people are moved. When even just one person refuses to comply, this sends out waves. That's what we see with Helly. Her resistance stirs something in each of her colleagues. Let's start with Mark. Mark begins as someone on autopilot, both in and out of Lumon. He leads the department, follows protocol, and just tries to keep the peace. He appears resigned to the idea that this is simply what he does. Sort numbers, meet quotas, clock out. But Helly's presence activates something in him. Before Helly arrives, Mark is mostly going through the motions. However, Helly's presence unsettles him. In one key moment, he asks Mrs. Cobell, "What exactly are we doing here?"
Yeah, what is it we actually do here?
It may seem like a quiet question, but a significant one. It shows that he's no longer just managing others and doing what he's supposed to do, but he's starting to think for himself. It's a huge step. Helly's discomfort forces Mark to confront what he's been suppressing. His empathy, especially when he sees her in distress, becomes the door through which his critical thinking walks in. Mark's change is slow and cautious. He's weighed down by a sense of responsibility as the team lead and by a subdued personality that has nothing to do with his severance. But each small act of questioning strengthens his critical thinking. He moves from barely acknowledging his situation to actively doubting Lumon's motives. What about Dylan? Dylan is the most enthusiastic about Lumon's reward structure. We can see his fiery spirit from the beginning, but he's kept distracted. By what? By all the incentives. He's the guy who celebrates the company perks, excited by finger traps, caricature portraits, waffle parties, and that's enough for him. And at first, Helly's questions annoy him, but they stick. They plant a seed of doubt. And then comes the overtime contingency. A moment when Dylan is suddenly pulled into the outside world and realizes, I have a kid. And his world cracks open. This revelation shakes him to the core because it connects him to a life outside. The very thing he thought was harmless turns out to be deeply personal. He's being robbed of something vital for him. His reaction? immediate rebellion. The rewards no longer feel satisfactory, his anger becomes a powerful driver. Unlike Mark's cautious questioning, Dylan's reaction is more impulsive and emotionally charged. This emotional charge moves him into active rebellion, showing how a single piece of deep personal information can trigger critical thinking when someone feels personally deceived. It's easy to stay quiet when the stakes seem low, but once we realize something affects us more deeply than we thought, it's hard to go back to pretending. And then we have Irving. Irving is Lumon's biggest believer. He quotes the handbook, upholds the rules, he paints a picture of order all the time. He appears genuinely proud to serve. He's the hardest to shake. But his mind starts to resist. He sees black goo dripping through the ceiling and he can't explain why. At the beginning, he's so compliant that he actually sees these hallucinations as personal anomalies rather than red flags about the environment. And then he meets Bert. This is the catalyst for Irving's real shift. Bert opens a door that Irving didn't even know existed. Their bond is emotional, human, real, and when that bond is threatened, everything shifts. His once unwavering loyalty is shaken. It triggers him to revisit his beliefs about Lumon's infallibility. Irving begins investigating, drawing maps, searching for answers. This made me reflect on something. Sometimes it's not information that wakes us up, it's love. And when that love is disrupted, even the strongest convictions can begin to crack. Mark, Dylan, Irving, they all show us that critical thinking can be triggered by very different things. Mark is guided by empathy and growing unease, slowly tipping the scales from compliance to questioning. His critical thinking, once activated, is subtle and strategic. Dylan instead discovers personal stakes that flip his world instantly from complacency to outrage. His anger shows a more impulsive rebellion, and once that fire is ignited, it's hard to manage. Irving is pulled out of deep devotion by the emotional power of love and loss. And from then on, there's no going back. Their stories highlight that critical thinking is not a one-size-fits-all process. Sometimes it's a gradual drip of questions, sometimes it's a sudden flood of realization. In the world of Severance, where memory is compartmentalized and personal identity is severed, these transformations remind us that it only takes one spark, empathy, personal connection, emotional shock, to ignite genuine questioning. They didn't wake up all at once, but they couldn't unsee what Helly helped them to notice. And from that point on, the world could no longer stay the same. So I asked myself, why was Helly able to activate her critical thinking from day one, while everyone else stayed asleep? I believe there are 4 key reasons that they can be very helpful for us all. First, her lack of institutional conditioning. Helly steps into Lumon as an innie with no prior exposure to workplace culture, group norms. In contrast, Mark, Dylan, and Irving have been there long enough to internalize routines and to conform. They have their own coping mechanisms, be it seeking rewards, pleasing superior, just accepting the status quo. Helly instead hasn't had that slow, subtle indoctrination, so she questions everything right away. Second, her innate rebellious streak. From the moment she wakes up, she pushes back. Her first question isn't about procedures, it's, why am I here? This points to a personality trait, or we could say outie-driven trait, that's naturally defiant in the face of unexplained rules. That instinct to question, even when she has no memory, reveals something powerful. Critical thinking can be part of who we are. Third, her lack of emotional attachments. Characters like Irving and Mark have formed relationships and routines that anchor them to Lumon. Friendships, friendly rivalries, even a sense of duty. Helly arrives without any emotional attachment. She doesn't feel loyalty to co-workers or a sense of responsibility to her department. And that freedom from obligation gives her space to resist. Fourth, her immediate discomfort and shock. Part of what blocks critical thinking for the others is that they've grown numb or they've rationalized their existence. Helly, instead, experiences an instant shock at being trapped in a situation that she never consented to, at least not from her innie's perspective. And that dissonance, being told that she can't leave, fuels her instinct to rebel and demand answers. Her first experience on the severed floor is trying to escape, and being physically stopped. That sense of control being taken away from her doesn't just scare her, it activates her. Fight or flight kicks in and she chooses to fight. But why does Helly's early critical thinking matter so much? Helly reminds us that critical thinking often starts with discomfort. She didn't wait to be told something was wrong. She felt it, and she acted on that feeling. She didn't have a plan, she didn't know what the truth was, but she knew that something was wrong and she knew enough to keep asking. That's what made her powerful and also dangerous. Not because she had answers, but because she refused to stop questioning. And through her defiance, she made everyone around her look up and see. Her rebellious streak shows us something important. In controlled environments, whether they're corporations, cultures, even habits, we often settle without realizing it. Familiarity breeds compliance, but Helly never gets the chance to settle. She arrives fresh, without loyalty or learned helplessness, and from day one she challenges everything. Her instinct to resist shows us that critical thinking doesn't always begin with logic. Sometimes it begins with a gut feeling that something just isn't right. While others have learned to suppress that feeling, Helly listens to it and acts. Ultimately, Helly's role is to break the cycle. She challenges not only Lumon's rules, but also her colleagues' assumptions, proving something very fascinating. That sometimes one person refusing to accept a broken system can be the spark that ignites change. All it takes is one person. So what can we take from this? Think about yourself now. How often do you question things in your own life? Not just the big stuff, but the routines, the unspoken expectations, the little things that you've accepted as just the way it is. In Severance, the spark of critical thinking doesn't look the same for everyone. It's born from curiosity, from injustice, from love, from loss, but it always begins with the same thing: asking better questions. The characters in Severance go from just following orders to asking themselves, is this really all there is? And that's the real magic of critical thinking. It can change everything. We see that in how the characters evolve. And what would happen if we all took a little more time to question things in our own lives? What would we be able to inspire? So next time you watch Severance, think about the characters' journeys, but also think about your own. What is the last thing you questioned and why? And as we leave here today, ask yourself this: what would happen if you asked just one more question? It might not just change your perspective, it might inspire someone else to question too. And the ripple, it could change everything.